We've seen some crazy speculation of what's going to change in cruise post-pandemic. We've got the actual facts of 10 things that will change, so keep on watching. Well, ahoy there, cruisers.
We're Cruise with Ben and David. Hello, how are you doing?
So tip number 1 is enhanced screenings, guys. This is pretty much an obvious. The health questionnaire will make a return. You might have noticed this before, way back when you started cruising, where you have to fill in quite a comprehensive questionnaire to say if you've got anything wrong with you. This time though, if you do lie, you'll be immediately taken off of the ship and there may be legal consequences. So this is going to be a written declaration. You're also going to see temperature checks as well. This is probably something that's going to be routine for the foreseeable future and something that will probably happen in every single port. Obviously, if you show any signs of illness, you will be immediately denied boarding. So of course, you will be given a full refund. But if you've got flights and things booked separately, you may not get a refund and your insurance may not cover it. So this is why it's important to book with a reputable travel agent who are fully protected.
Yeah, and make sure when you do buy insurance that you contact them or just look in the small print to see if you are going to be fully protected as well.
And obviously there's going to be much more comprehensive checks and spot checks by the CDC with enhanced regulations across the board.
So number 2 is we're going to see changes to itineraries. Some ports will take longer to open once this situation is over, and they may only be allowing a certain amount of ships into port at each time. And also, depending on how far down they are the timeline of the pandemic, some ports may take longer to open than others.
And with the new regulations as well, things like temperature checks, more intense screening, it's going to take some ports a lot of time to implement the new regulations, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just some countries at the moment are only just getting to the peak, whereas others are at the tail end of it. So you'll be more likely to see them open first than the ones that are just getting to the peak at the moment. There also may be restrictions in ports on things you can see or do, and attractions may also have limited capacities as well, just to reduce the amount of people in the spaces at each time to create distance between people as well.
Something we're going to see for a long time is social distancing, and especially big attractions, things like the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, and big attractions in Rome and Italy and other places in the Caribbean. They want to going to keep people away from each other. So some of these big attractions may be really limited in space, half in capacity or so. So number 3 is we're going to see changes to onboard dining. Some cruise lines have already announced that it's going to be mainly the buffet that is focused on. We're going to see no longer self-service on some of these lines as well. So on buffets, you usually go and help yourself to a big array of food, but it's going to probably be more like Holland America serving. Now they do have a buffet with all of the food spread out, but it's usually behind glass screens, and you'll obviously have a server who you'll tell what you want and then they'll go get that food for you, similar to Virgin Voyages as well. You don't touch any food. So we think that's going to become much more commonplace because it's going to stop people from touching the tongs and touching things that other people have touched, dropping and putting food back and things like that. So that should really cut and make health on board a lot better.
Definitely, that's a real big hotbed, isn't it, of cleanliness. They want to keep that area super clean, so that is the best way they can monitor it. And it goes as well for the self-service ice cream. They already announced that they're going to have a member of the crew get the ice cream for you and serve you instead of you helping yourself.
I mean, Royal Caribbean usually already do this, but other lines where you can actually just go help yourself, this is probably going to be a thing of the past as well, because they don't want cross-camp contamination anywhere.
Number 4 is we already know that there is going to be a limited capacity on board the ships when they start sailing. Genting Cruise Lines has already announced this. This is to help with social distancing on board. They haven't said exactly what the limit will be, but maybe at first half the passengers and then maybe increase as we get out of this as well. So this could be every other cabin is free, just to give you more room around the ship, and of course more room in places like the dining room, the theatre and around the pool, so you can keep a distance from each other.
Absolutely. Busy areas like restaurants and theatres and clubs, like you say, if they have half the capacity, it means they can sit people further away from each other, leave spaces and seats in the theatre and things like that. It's a sad situation, guys, but it's becoming a reality. So number 5 is the 2020 European season has basically been wiped out. When we say this, we mean by big cruise lines such as the American cruise lines, Holland America, Princess, Disney, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, basically wiped out, especially even Carnival Cruise Line. We're going to do 2 sets of cruises from Europe this year on the Carnival Legend and Radiance, completely cancelled. Cruises are going to want to stay closer to their home ports. So places like the USA, Caribbean, Miami, you'll see a lot more cruises around there for the time being. Obviously, companies like MSC sail around Europe, and P&O and things like that sail around Europe all year round, so they're pretty much unaffected. But basically, we can say goodbye to the European season this year, which is super sad.
And that goes as well for the Alaska season as well.
Absolutely.
That's completely gone now this year, so I can't see that coming back till next year now. So number 6 is going to be restrictions on who can travel on the ship. So at first, we can probably going to see a complete ban on people over the age of 70, or at least a stricter guideline about if they can travel. Possibility with them needing doctor's notes and health checks to say that they are fit and healthy.
So number 7 is that we're going to see big changes to the medical centres on board. Some cruise lines have already announced this, with big retrofits coming along, maybe adding isolation units, more beds, more doctors and nurses to be able to cover the capacity, and better life-saving equipment. We might even see things like ventilators on board as well, just in case, and more personal protective equipment, or PPE, for the crew on board, as well as many more supplies and medicine, just so that they can offer a much more comprehensive service. As you know, guys, every ship has a big onboard hospital on board. These are really good, guys, with doctors and nurses, full medical operating procedures, really good stuff, guys. But we think we're going to see big changes to this.
We already know in Princess's guidelines that they're asking all passengers to bring an extra 14 days of medication. So that's on top of the medication you're taking for your cruise, as well as a full list of medications that you are taking, right down to every detail about dosage and everything.
Yeah, and they're even giving onboard free health checks. If you do feel poorly or ill on board, you'll get a free health check. This is something which has not been done before.
So number 8, is on top of what we've already said, is the additional onboard changes. So we're going to see the crew cleaning a lot more often. Cruise lines have already announced this, that they are going to be putting more focus on cleaning the ship as a whole, and in particular high traffic areas. There's going to be better quarantine and emergency plans and more proactive protocols. Guys, they're going to take what they have learnt from this horrible situation and put it into force so that it doesn't touch wood, if it does happen again, they know what they're going to have to be doing.
Yeah, and we're expecting to see things added to the safety drills as well. So the muster drills, more information on cleanliness and cleaning and things like that.
We've already seen this actually on our last couple of cruises, just at the beginning of the situation when it started, that they did add extra stuff to the safety drill, didn't they?
Yeah, you'll also see more hand washing stations and sanitizing stations with much more enforcement by the crew. So they will be making sure that you do wash your hands, even maybe a better toilet design. This has been brought up a few times. Toilets on board usually have doors which you have to open and close with your hands. Will we see something where you have to push them with your feet or press a button or something?
Or you can get the ones where you just wave your hands.
And it's even been said we might even see toilet monitors, so people checking to see if you have washed your hands after you leave the toilet. Crazy stuff, guys. Really basic. This shouldn't even be a thing. We're also seeing that water temperatures and dryer temperatures on board will be increased so they can kill more of them germs, as well as cleaning and laundrettes using higher temperatures. So be careful when you send your clothes. You don't want them to get shrunk.
Also, they've announced that beds are going to be changed more often as well. And at first, when cruises start, you may still see crew wearing protective masks around the ship. So number 9 is other travel restrictions beyond the cruise. So flying to cruise ports and getting to cruise ports may be a lot more difficult, particularly if you are traveling over international borders. We've got a cruise planned at the end of the year, and while we hope that cruises are going, we also hope flights are going as well at the same time. Also, hotel closures and reductions in hotel capacity could limit you being able to get a hotel in port as well as less local transport around the port, and less capacity on local transport as well, as they try and keep people at a distance.
Number 10 is a bit more of a positive one for all of us. You're going to see a lot more flexibility with cruise with confidence schemes, meaning that you can cancel and make changes up until the last minute, 48 hours or so before. So it means you can book with much more confidence just in case anything does go wrong, or you can't get the flights or whatever, or anything goes wrong. You have much more confidence of booking without being penalised with heavy booking changes and things like that. So there'll be no big cost changes if you want to make a change to your cruise.
Definitely. But on top of that, like we said earlier, please make sure you do get travel insurance and double check if your travel insurance is covering you for every situation.
So guys, as we said earlier on, we've seen some crazy claims of things like inside cabins not being used anymore. These are just crazy. It's not going to happen.
Completely removed.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, guys. These are the things that are definitely going to happen. These have came from sources such as Princess, Genting Cruises, as well as the CDC regulations as well. So it might even be more strict from this. The things are still developing. So let us know what you think about these changes in the comment section below. We would absolutely love to hear from you.
And also, please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with everything that's going to be happening in cruise, particularly at a time like this. You'd need to know what's going on.
And you want your news to be accurate as well, guys. Like we said, there's lots of hearsay out there. Our news is accurate. We don't post things that are not true. So stick here and subscribe for the real news.
Big thank you to all our patrons that are supporting us. You guys are really fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. And if you want to find out more about Patreon, you can find a link in the description section below. Captain of the Week this week is Alex. Ahoy, Alex.
Ahoy, Alex. That's it till next time. Happy cruising. Maybe soon.